Hey guys, I'm just going to do a quick video. This is probably the last video. Monday is the last class. I will be available for consultation at my office if you need any more guidance, but Monday is going to be the last class, so I thought I'd do one last video just covering some of the things that we spoke about on Monday and really just looking at the key functions of InDesign to build your magazine layouts. So I'm just going to start doing the magazine layouts from scratch. So hopefully this will just show you just the key steps involved and also just remind you of how to use some of the tools and functions. Okay, so my chosen magazine is Vogue, and the first thing you're going to do is measure up the margins and the columns and the gutters. So that's going to give your basis or your basic grid for your magazine. So you're not basing your 6 layouts on one page of the magazine. You're basing your layouts on the whole magazine. So don't feel that you need to stick with a certain sort of look of the one page. Use the underlying grid and just create different layouts as if it's come from that one magazine. You will need to submit the magazine with your final submission for this module. So if you're basing your magazine layouts on Vogue, please submit a Vogue magazine with your submission. Okay, so I've used Vogue, and you can see here I've just quickly measured it up. I've put the columns, the margins, and the gutters in here. So the first thing I'm going to do when I open my InDesign, it's going to open a new document, and that panel is going to give me all the ways that I can put the margins and the columns in there. So the page size is 220 by 285, so I can just key this in here, 220 millimeters by 285. There's 3 columns, and the gutter is 6 millimeters. The margins, they're not even margins, so I'm going to just click on this little link so I can give all those margins different values. The top margin is 13, the bottom margin is 15, the left margin is 15, and the right margin is 12. So I've got all the measurements in there. Now when I click OK, that's going to give me a new document, and that is going to be the basis for all your magazine layouts. Okay, so from here, now what we're going to do is we're going to open our text. So you would have downloaded all your copy and images. So you've got your headlines, your stand first or introduction, which is optional, and you got your 5 texts, your 5 paragraphs of text. So you will need to use all that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just bring in my text. So if I double click on that, that just opens it up in TextEdit. I'm going to select all and copy. Let's go back to InDesign. And again, there's 2 ways you can put your text in there. You can draw one text box, paste your text in there. In your panel up the top, you can then go to your columns and you can put in 3 columns of that text, and the gutter is 6. So that fits your text in quite nicely to those 3 columns. The other way to do it is to, and this gives you a bit more flexibility over how high your text columns are. I'm going to paste that in there. I'm going to draw 2 other text boxes in those columns. So with that first text column, I'm just going to, it's either a single click or a double click. I think it's a single click. Oh no, it's a double click. Double click on that little red square at the bottom of the text column, because that tells you you've got extra text that goes beyond the text box. And if we just roll over that text box and click, that flows, that connects those two. So it's not just a single text box, they are separate text boxes that are linked. And again, we're going to do that the same for that here as well. So it's a single click for this one, and I'm going to roll over that column and click the text in there. So here we have 3 separate text boxes, but they are all linked. So it means that if you have a layout that has one taller text box and maybe 2 shorter ones, you can easily control that. Okay, so we've got our text in there. The next thing I'm going to do is, I've got the text. I'm going to open the headlines. So, and let's maybe use runway to red carpet. So I'm just going to copy that. Draw a text box, it doesn't matter where, and just paste that in. So now we have the copy and the headline. Okay, so from our Vogue magazine layout, I would have worked out that it uses a Minion Pro as the text. So I'm going to use the type tool, click in there, press Command A or select all, and it's a Minion Pro, so that's already there as default. It's a regular, but it's 10 point on 12 leading, so that's already there as a default, 10 point on 12 Minion Pro. So let's just look at the magazine. So I can see the text is justified and there are no hyphens, so we're going to switch off hyphenation in the paragraph panel. So with that selected, in your paragraph panel, if that's not showing, you just go to Window, Type and Tables, and you highlight or you click on Paragraph. That's going to bring up your paragraph table. So we're going to choose Justified, and we're going to switch off hyphenate. Okay. So there we have our text that's in there. Okay, so we're just going to leave that for now. So I'm just going to do a very, very simple image heavy layout. That's what I'm going to do. So we've got runway to red carpet. So I'm going to use a similar style headline as in my reference page. So if we just look at our reference page again, it uses a Times italic and it also uses a Century Gothic. So I'm gonna use both of those. And I'm actually just going to break that up into 2 text boxes. So the first text box is going to say runway 2, and then the second text box is going to say red carpet. Or you can do it in one text box. That's totally up to you how you want to create that. So selecting that text box, we want to select at Times italic, and maybe just increase the size of that a little bit. Runway 2, and then red carpet, I'm going to use a Century Gothic bold, and again just increase the size of that. I've just increased it just to fit in with that column size. So there's the basic headline. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think I might want to increase that just a little bit more. I think red carpet is, I don't know, it's an interesting word, and I think it would be nice if we highlighted that. Runway to red carpet. Okay, and now, so we've got our basic type in there, we've got our columns there. So what I'm going to do now is just bring in an image. So we go to File and Place, or Command D. And then we're just going to navigate to the images. So we've got all these images that Charles has supplied us. I think I'm going to choose this first one. He's got a red suit. That kind of echoes the headline of red carpet. So let's just go ahead and choose that. Okay. So obviously we're going to need to reduce that in size. So remember to, if you're reducing it, don't just reduce the mask. You need to press Command and Shift. And that's going to reduce your image. Okay, but because that's in front of all the text, I just want to bring that behind. So Object, Arrange, Center back. Okay, so that's roughly how I want my layout to look. So now we just get into the finer details of working with the text, just to make sure all the text fits in there. So I think we need to give a bit more space here. Maybe we just move the headline up a little bit. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. So then I just want to just crop this image a little bit. So here you can adjust the mask. So just with your image selected, you can just drag this up. And I just want to see all this without the guides. So I'm just going to go to View, Grids and Guides, Hide Guides. I also just want to get rid of these frame edges as well. So View, Extra, Hide Frame Edges. Right, and then we have our rough layout. Okay, so a couple of things that can make this start to look a lot nicer. I've chosen not to put the intro in here. I think that works quite nicely just like this. Just going to show guides. You notice here that the type doesn't line up evenly along the bottom. So the way we can fix that is if we click on these text boxes, and if we go to text frame options, or that's in object text frame options, you have an alignment here. So what we want to do is just align that to the bottom, and same with these other two. So object, text frame options, align to the bottom.